Hello, and welcome to this episode of AWS OnAir. My name is Brian Terry, and I'm a senior solution architect working on the Marketplace team. And I'm super excited to be here with my good friend, Nick, to talk about something cool. How are you doing, Nick?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here too. I'm obviously Nick. I work on the central marketing team for AWS. I have work mostly for OnAir behind the scenes, but I also help out with some shows and sports shows, especially. So I was excited when Brian let me join him for this one. Now, who's this guy over on this side?
Yeah, so we're joined by my other good friend, Kunjal from the Marketplace team. So I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey guys, great to be here. My name is Kunjal. I'm a senior product manager in AWS Marketplace. I'm responsible for SaaS products in Marketplace.
Awesome.
All
So
right.
yeah, I heard we're going to be talking about some really cool things. Nick, I think this is for you because this is going to be really awesome. I think this is going to make you smile and it's going to be something really
There we go.
cool. So let's just start with the obvious. Like, what is AWS Marketplace?
So you can think of AWS Marketplace as a digital catalog of products that customers can buy. So as a customer, you can come into Marketplace, you can find products that you want to buy, you can subscribe, you can try product, you can start with a free trial. And then once you're convinced you are, okay, yeah, I want to buy the software, you can buy the software. So you'll find first-party listings from AWS as well as a lot of third-party listings. Marketplace has thousands of products across popular categories like security or monitoring or business applications. So you can find everything that you're looking for, machine learning as well. So that's really popular now. So you can find all of that in Marketplace.
Yeah, I think that's kind of popular now, that machine learning or Gen AI thing. I don't know. I've heard
Yeah.
some whispers about it. So Amazon Marketplace or AWS Marketplace is kind of like the .com side of cloud computing. Is that a good way to think of it?
Exactly. So you go to Amazon.com to buy whatever you want. You buy a toothbrush. So you come to a Marketplace to buy a SaaS product, like you want to buy maybe some monitoring product or security, like a firewall. You come to Marketplace, buy a firewall for your application.
Perfect. The main thing I take away from that is that SaaS and security is like a toothbrush. And I think that's an analogy that we can all get behind.
Don't quote me.
Now that we've mentioned that, I've worked at Amazon for almost 5-6 years now, and I never knew it's like GIF versus GIF, if it was SaaS or just SaaS. So first off, thank you for clearing that up for me. But what is SaaS?
So SaaS is a way of delivering your software as a service. So that's what it stands for, software as a service.
Okay.
Now, as a buyer, when you buy a SaaS product, you basically buy through Marketplace, but you access the product in the vendor environment. So the vendor is taking care of the infrastructure or they are hosting the product. You don't need to spin up your own resources. So that's the idea. Like it's a service that's being offered to you. So
Gotcha. Okay, what's the general workflow within that? Because I know this feature we're going to be talking about in a second is addressing maybe some common problems or common kind of stop gaps within that process. So can you give our viewers kind of a summary of what the typical process is now?
Yeah, so typically you come into Marketplace, you browse through the catalog, you try to find products, like say you want to buy a firewall, right? So you look through various products that are offering, like there are firewall specific. You look at the product description, you see, okay, maybe this fits my need. You go onto the purchase page where you can, sometimes there's a free trial available, so you can subscribe to a free trial, or you decide to make a purchase. So you make your purchase. After you complete your purchase through Marketplace, we give you an option to go and configure the product. So typically what happens is you are redirected to the SaaS application. As I said earlier, the application is hosted by the vendor. So you're operating in the vendor environment, and then you basically go about configuring your firewall rules and so on, right?
Yeah.
So that's a typical workflow. But if you think of certain SaaS products, like say monitoring product, you want to monitor your EKS cluster or your ECS deployment. How do you do that? You need to deploy small piece of software in your accounts, in your applications. So that's the only piece that you need to deploy in your account for the SaaS product to work. So we are going to talk about that today. I'll talk about like how certain products are using this new feature to make it easy for customers to deploy the product.
I mean,
Gotcha.
I think Marketplace is a really cool product, and I think it's like one of those things, like it's just this almost a one-click experience to actually get the software you need without having to go anywhere else, and it just right
Yeah.
there in your cloud environment. So
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, it's great to just have kind of a one-stop shop instead of having to go to all these different web pages and figure
Yeah.
out what you need. You can compare and contrast a bit. So yeah, it's a really
Yeah.
cool feature. I'm glad that we're able to give it some light here today.
And yeah, we have hundreds of free trials available. So you can actually start a free trial right away instead of going to a third-party website and like.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe we can get somebody in the studio right now to drop a link into some of these free trials. People can get going with Marketplace and experiment with some of this stuff. But I know we want to keep it focused on SaaS today because we're all about the SaaS here at Amazon. So, we talked about that common problem. Can you kind of give us then intro into what this feature that you guys have deployed is?
Yeah, so let me talk about the problem first, and then I'll start sharing my screen to just walk you through like how we're making it easy. So if you think of a monitoring product or a security product, as I said, you need to deploy this small piece of software for the product to work. Like you need this agent to start to stream logs to the SaaS backend, or you need to deploy a firewall in your account to protect your instances, right? So that's what this new feature we're going to talk about makes it easy for you. So without this feature, what would happen is you would be going through the user guides provided by the vendor, and you would have to manually configure, say, roles or manually configure software. But we're going to make it easy through pre-configured CloudFormation templates. Now, CloudFormation is a service in Marketplace, or not Marketplace, in AWS, which kind of offers this templatized version where if you can click deploy the template, and once you deploy a template, it spins up resources in your AWS account, like resources such as like cross-account roles or the monitoring agents or EC2 instances kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Let me share my screen and walk you guys through like a typical customer journey when they're looking for a product in Marketplace, and then how do they get to deployment. So
Gotcha.
I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Awesome.
Okay. So when you come into Marketplace, you can start with a search, or you just basically land on this refined result page. So you can filter by product type such as SaaS. When you select SaaS, you will see all the products that offer this SaaS deployment option. Now let's take Acme. And so this Acme product offers a free trial, so I can see it through the badge. And I can also see that this product offers quick launch. So it makes it easy for customers to launch the product. Now I'm looking at my second screen, so you'll see me like shifting my eyes, but I'm not ordering pizza. I'm just looking at the screen where I'm doing the demo. Okay, cool. So let's click Acme. Now, when customers click on a product listing in the search, they land on this detail page. On this detail page, customers can learn more about what this product does, right? So there's a nice overview for the product. You can find pricing information, so you can see how much is it going to cost me. In Marketplace, we offer different pricing types for SaaS. Like you can have upfront pricing, or we also offer pay-as-you-go model. So you only pay for what you use. So there are different options, but depending on product, it could vary. Right. So again, like on the detail page, you can see there's a quick launch option for this product. Let's say I'm convinced and I want to buy the product. So I click view purchase options. This brings me as a user to this procurement page where I can see the offer details. I can see, okay, this product is going to cost me 1/10 of a cent for each unit of consumption. So I say, yeah, this is cheap. Let me go and subscribe. I'll try it out, right? So let's subscribe. As soon as you complete your subscription, provided you have your credit card and your payment information stored in AWS, your subscription should go through successfully. And you see this button to set up your account. So as I was saying earlier, like before this new feature that we are going to talk about, what would happen is we would just send you over to the vendor's application where you log in, create an account with the vendor, and they provide you with user guides to manually configure these resources. But now with the quick launch feature, so that's the new feature we are going to talk about, SaaS quick launch, we make it easy for you to quickly launch the software. Like how obvious, right? Quick launch.
Yeah. So to just clarify, so this quick launch feature is kind of like automating all those manual processes a customer would have had to do in like subscribing to some SaaS products, right?
Exactly. It's automating, and also we provide a nice guided step-by-step instruction page to you after you subscribe. So you can just follow along and you can see, okay, there are these 4 steps I need to complete to get value. So that's the idea. So
Okay.
let's say
What are some of those common steps that this would solve then? Can we go over that real quick?
Yeah,
Or is
so
that next
typically when you buy a SaaS product, you need to register with the vendor, you need to create an account, you need to deploy any resource in your account, you need to have the right permission. So let's hop over and let's see like how that looks. So I click set up your account. You're brought to this new configuration and launch page in Marketplace. Now, this is a new thing. This is what we are calling quick launch. So some products will have this enabled. You can read about what this thing does. You can see like what permissions you need. So basically, you start by creating a service link role. I won't go into detail, but it's a one-click thing. You just allow Marketplace to store parameters or secrets in your account. So that's that. You can find in step 1 that there are certain permissions you need. Say for if you're deploying an EC2 instance, you as a user need to have that permission in Marketplace. So we just remind you, make sure you have these permissions before you proceed to the following steps. So that's step 1, basically just click through. Step 2 is where you actually create an account with the vendor. So as I said, like you need to have an account with the vendor to be able to log into the tenant, and maybe the tenant will have a dashboard, or it's an application where you configure your firewall rules. So different things. Basically, it's a vendor application. So you start by clicking login or create an account. We open a new tab. That's where now this is the page hosted by Acme, who's the vendor. You provide your email address, you register. After you register, in one click, you just come back to this Marketplace page to continue launching the template or the resources, right? So let's say as this software requires you to deploy a monitoring agent. So monitoring agent could be as simple as an EC2 instance with some script running on it, which is going to capture logs and stream the logs back to the SaaS backend. So I can just click launch CloudFormation template. You get to select a region. So depending on which region in AWS you want to deploy, you pick that and you launch your template. We bring you to this CloudFormation stack launch page. Now, as I said, CloudFormation is a service in AWS. It allows you to spin up resources in your account. So as you can see, this one is maybe creating a role. So all that you need to do is you just click submit. It's a one-click thing. You say, yeah, I'm okay with launching the stack. It launches successfully. Then you return to this page. And now you say, okay, I've done these 3 things. I'm ready to use my product. So I click launch software. So when you click launch software, we basically bring you to the homepage of the application. So you're all set. You have deployed whatever resources are needed, like a cross-account role or a monitoring agent. Now you can start to monitor or slice and dice your data in the tenant itself. So this is the Acme application where you can see your data coming through. If it's a monitoring product, if it's a security product, you can see any threat detection that's going on. So all of that is available in the vendor application.
Cool. This is very, I mean, the way that it's kind of laid out, it just kind of makes it kind of this simple workflow that you do to just enable the SaaS products. It's just like from step 1 to step 4, and then you're up and running, right? I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah. It takes you minutes, right? Like previously, like without this feature, it would take you days to actually, like you would have 3 tabs open, you would be reading user guide somewhere. It would take you days, right? And like now we are making this possible in minutes. So it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Man, I imagine if you were on these teams, you look like a superhero. You like got it up in like a few minutes versus days.
I just wouldn't. I wouldn't tell anybody.
I know.
Can you not see my cape?
It took me 2 days or so.
Yeah, no big. No big. All right, that's awesome though. I love, like Brian said, the simplification here. I'm all about that for customers and as a user too. Anything that can cut down the amount of stuff that I got to do is fantastic. And just to make sure I'm following this too. So for this to be enabled, it's both something that the buyer agrees to and the seller agrees to, right?
So it basically is offered by the seller. So the seller has to configure this feature on their product. We have a seller interface where sellers can go and enable this quick launch thing on their product. And not every SaaS product would require it. So it's only applicable when you need to deploy something in your account as a customer. Only then you need this sort of feature. So a seller will enable it. And once it is enabled on a product, every subscriber will get the same experience. when they complete the subscription. So they will all land on this configure page where they would follow those steps.
Awesome.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is very cool. Very cool.
So as that seller too, obviously this helps the customers a lot. I assume this would help the sellers a lot because it gets people up and moving on their platforms faster. So like what's the process for the seller to get involved with this? Like, is it a heavy lift from them to get integrated into this system? And like, how do they get started with it? When do they, why should they enable it? When do they get started with it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think you hit upon it so a seller today, there are many customers who come to Marketplace, they subscribe, but not everyone ends up using. Some of the customers just abandon because they're like, this is too complicated for me. Right? So for a seller, if they offer this nice, easy configuration experience, customers are going to use it, right? You'll get much better conversion on your product. So I think you, like as a seller, you should absolutely think of like, if you're deploying stuff in customer account, enable it. Now, you talked about like how hard it is. We made it really easy. So we have like a nice user guide published in Marketplace. So you can just follow along. It should take you just a few hours to configure the solution. All that you need is a nice login page, and then you need to have a CloudFormation template. So again, you can work with our Marketplace solution architects who will help you create these templates. So you create these templates, and then you just integrate that with your experience. So I would say like just overall configuration, once you have the template, it takes like a couple of hours. But to create a template, you might want to think of like what do you want to put in that. That might take a few days, but otherwise like the effort is pretty low.
Yeah, I can see this kind of cutting down on support, like you said, customers will want to use it and then they'll figure out, well, do I have to call AWS? Do I have to call the vendor to get support to help setting it up? This kind of helps with that in general.
Yeah. Cuts down on the rage quitting. You're still not done, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you should coin that, rage quitting.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, that's a super cool. Like, it's so easy, like applicable and easy to use. Like, I wish that this was something that happened for, a lot of the different stuff that I use that's maybe not on Marketplace. So I might get with you, Kunjal, after this and try to figure out how we can start some of my email chains and that kind of stuff.
Let's automate.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, this is fantastic. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, Kunjal. Do you have, I always like to ask, is there anything, we talked about a lot of cool things here today for the last 18 or so minutes. Is there anything last comment you want customers to walk away from this with?
Come to Marketplace for all your software needs, right? But anyway, I would like to say Marketplace has hundreds of products. You can start with a free trial. You don't have to pay for everything, right? So you start with the free trial. If you like the product, you go on to negotiate a private offer with the seller, and then just start using. And of course, we are there to help. But yeah, try it out.
I would say let's cut down rage quitting.
Yeah, all the things we need to cut down.
All right. Well, thank you, Kunjal. It was great to talk about this product, and we're super excited to start using it. I am, just like everyone else. And thank you again for showing us the demo. Nick, thank you for being here and being a co-host with me.
Absolutely.
I always love to co-host with you. It's great. So this has been another great episode of AWS On Air. Please try Marketplace out and try this quick launch feature and cut down on rage quitting. My name is Brian. My name is Brian Terry, and we'll see you on the next episode of AWS On Air.
All right, back to the live desk at reInvent.